The Boner Necro. Easily one of my favorite characters in this game. And it's the one of two builds that you'll see Necros use to level up their characters. And the other build, of course, being the Summoner. Now, the Summoner is really strong and arguably better when used in a party. Now, when you are in a party, the summons, they're like little meat shields that that take aggro and allow the Necro to focus on curses. So that's the argument for the Summoner Necro. But the Summoner Necro, when you're solo at least, or you like to rely on being, you don't want to rely on a team, then the Summoner can feel kind of like lacking because the AI just kind of jerks off. It doesn't really do what you want it to most of the time. So you're going to need a reliable form of teleport to control the AI. So you need Enigma, essentially. But you could also use teleport staves, but they're expensive to repair and just all around not as reliable as Enigma. When we compare this to the Bone Necro just bones enemies up 24/7. It's very strong the whole way through, and it does fall off at some points, but it's really good the whole way through, so that's why I recommend this build for leveling up. Now, before we dive into the video here, we need to talk about patch 2.4, because this character is a winner of patch 2.4. And let's talk about it. So, first of all, the bone skills are getting buffed. They're on the screen here. Now, the thing is, the bone armor change is pretty much next to nothing because you don't really put points into it. You mainly get a good bone armor through the synergies, right? So, this is a very minimal change, but still a buff. You're gonna absorb more damage. Not a lot, but hey. I'll take it, you know? And the real buff with this part is with the synergies behind the bone skills, because we deal more damage. But we deal more damage in the mid to late game, which is nice because that's kind of where your character tends to fall off a little bit. So that's really nice. But now let's talk about the insight change. Now, insight will be able to be made into bows and crossbows. Now, this change right here, this is one of the biggest, this is probably the biggest change for this character. And let's talk a little bit about why, right? Because when it comes to insight, now we get to choose between an Act 1 Merc and an Act 2 Merc, right? And the Act 2 Merc is really awesome. He's like overpowered when you have the good gear, but before that he just kind of runs in and dies, you know? And if you have a really strong enemy and you want to bone prison it, the Merc might get bone prisoned in with the enemy, and then he's probably gonna die. And overall there isn't that much like synergy with the Act 2 Merc with the Necro. But the Act 1 Merc synergizes really well with the Necro, because not only can you keep yourself alive reliably, but the Act 1 Merc has really, like, surprisingly good AI for staying away from enemies. Now, I'm probably gonna sound like a clown saying that, because I've seen the AI do some stupid shit before, but consistently, overall, the Act 1 AI Merc is better than the Act 2 AI, because Act 2's melee, they want to run up. Act 1 synergizes with you because they stay back. And you can essentially like peel for them with bone armor, or bone prison and bone wall. And for the next change in patch 2.4 is the new level 85 areas. Now these are awesome because everybody wins from this one. We just get more options to farm for late game. And some of them have magic immunes, which kind of sucks, but not really, because we have Corpse Explosion, and that's a really good answer to magic immunes. Now, let's look at the Boner Necro himself. Now, I'm going to divvy this up into pros and cons because I think that's a good way to look at it. So, the Boner Necro is very safe. His bone spells are very good for keeping him alive, essentially. Magic damage is really good in this game because there's not a lot of magic immunes, and your bone spells deal magic damage. And we have Corpse Explosion, which is probably one of the best spells in the game, right? And it's also a good answer towards these few magic immunes. And I need to mention just the fact that the Boner Necro is strong throughout his whole career. And because of this, he's a really good character to level up with. And once you are leveled up, you can respec into any build you want. And the Necro is just a really good character overall. He can do anything. He can magic find, he can do Ubers, he can do PvP. He's one of the best hardcore characters. You name it, Necro can do it. Now let's talk a little bit about the cons behind the Boner. So your damage is going to fall off mid to late game compared to other classes. And that kind of sucks, but once you get the stronger gear, this con kind of doesn't exist because the gear makes up for it. The patch actually helps it quite decently, more than I thought it would. Your Merc is going to have better gear too, and that's really good because your boss killing damage is definitely weaker compared to the compared to other classes. But with the Bone Spirit having a significant buff to its synergy damage, this is going to be a really good change for the Necro with his single target damage. But yeah, let's talk about the biggest con behind this character. The fact that this character is so skill point reliant. He is so hungry for those skill points. You need to max 5 skills out in this character in order to deal the most damage possible. This leaves very little room for build diversity, and that's a big con to me. But at the same time, you're given a really good kit, so it's got its pros and cons, you know? And one of the saddest things, though, about having to max out 5 skills is that you lose less points to dump into Corpse Explosion. And that just sucks overall, because Corpse Explosion is one of the best skills in the game. You could sacrifice some points from your bone skills into Corpse Explosion, but you'll be losing out on some bone skill damage, so we'll talk a little bit more about that in the skills section. Alright, so we're going to be going over the expensive builds first, so you kind of get a sense of what the items you're aiming for are. So first, let's start with the Magic Find build. Now, the Magic Find build is going to have 125 faster cast rate. That is essential for all of the end game builds for this character because it directly increases the amount of damage that you deal. It's very helpful. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the items exactly. So we're running a Shaco for the skills and the just juicy stats that we get with the Magic Find. We're running Enigma because of the teleport. This character is really good with teleport. It just makes him a lot more safer than he already is. His mobility is really good because he has really good cast frames. You want Enigma on this character. Almost any character, but yeah, this is especially one of them. We have a 220 here. Now this is one of the hardest yet most important items for an expensive build like this one, because that 10 or that 20 faster cast rate essentially allows us to have an extra ring here that does anything we want it to. It could be magic find, it can be an SOJ or a BK ring. Yeah. It doesn't have to be 20 faster cast rate. If it were 10 faster cast rate, we could simply just rock another 10 faster cast rate ring here. And we're running Arachnid's Mesh with War Travs. War Travs is for the magic find. We also get Strength and Vitality, which is really nice. And Arachnid's Mesh is for the faster cast rate and +2 all skills. We're running Trangs for the curses and faster cast rate. We also get some cold res, which is incredibly awesome. We're running Spirit. You could consider running something like Homunculus, but I think Spirit is all around better for a pure magic find setup because we get the faster cast rate, so we're able to prioritize more magic find into the build. And that's a great segue into White. Now, White is a really, really good rune word. This staff mod, or this wand, has no specific staff mods. You want to get some with Bone Spear, and I have a trick on how to get a +8 to Bone Spear White wand that we'll go into in a little bit. We're gonna go into that with the mini playthrough portion of this video. But for now, let's just talk about the rune word itself. So we get +2 skills and 20 faster cast rate, essentially. We get some other things that's really nice, but these are the main reasons why we're here. Now, same with Spirit, the faster cast rate and skills are the reason why we want it. We get a bunch of other really nice things with Spirit, though, like faster hit recovery, life, mana, and so on. But we could replace the White Wand if we wanted to. If we replace it with Heart of the Oak here, we lose skills, but we gain faster cast rate. So let's look at our stats here. We now have 145 faster cast rate, but we only need 125 faster cast rate, right? So what we can do is something like this. We replace our Trangules with Chanseys, so now we have even more magic find. But the thing is, I value this setup more because we get more damage, and we only lose out on a little bit of magic find. Now, to be fair, this setup probably doesn't have the most amount of magic find. You could probably get magic find through a 10 faster cast rate amulet, and then a 10 faster cast rate amulet or ring here with magic find on it, and this would optimally have magic find on it as well. And the inventory is super standard, just skillers with at least 1 Geeds for the magic find. Annie, life, all res, these would optimally have magic find on them as well. And the Necro torch, of course. Now, I also wanted to talk about a build that isn't really geared towards magic find. It's mainly geared towards just killing things as quickly as possible. And it's almost exactly the same, except instead of Shaco, we're able to use a 220 here. And because of this 20 extra faster cast rate, we're able to run either 2 SOJs or 2 BK rings, or one of each, something like that. And because we're able to drop our faster or our magic find, we can get our boots to be anything. And I would recommend Tri-Res boots. This character thrives off of Tri-Res boots in my opinion. But you could also run things like Sandtrex or anything you want, really. Here's a white wand that you would optimally want with this character because it has the +8 to Bone Spear, but it also has +2 Bone Spirit. Um, if you get an item like this, you are filthy rich. You could sell this for so much. But in this case, it also has +2 Decrepify, which is great for utility, but also not necessary. Now, you could change things up by placing Heart of the Oak here, and then you could use something like a Storm Shield, because in this case, we're going to have not enough faster cast rate, but if we just replace some rings, now we are much tankier. We have a shield that can actually have some good block frames and a good block chance, damage reduced, and yeah, but we're going to sacrifice some damage, right? So yeah, this is like kind of more of a PvP-ish setup here. When you just want to kill things, I don't really worry about having to block because you're a Necro, right? Like, nothing should be near you. And if something is near you, there should be a bone prison or a bone wall in between, right? So there's like a Crown of Ages if you really want to be more tanky. And yeah, ooh, let's talk about Homunculus, right? So for Homunculus, it's a really good shield, but I think you really kind of only want to consider it for PvP, I think, because even though it is really good, yeah, I still think Spirit is overall better for PvE. And for this and the last setup, we have CTA and Spirit on Switch. And let's talk a little bit about the Merc Gear, because the Mercenary, I like to run either Infinity or Reaper's Toll. They both have their own use cases. I definitely prefer Infinity because the Conviction Aura helps your corpse explosion damage, and you get Crushing Blow, which really helps with your boss killing speed, right? That's a weakness with this character. So if you run Andes, which with a Cham, so he's not frozen, you're able to get more attack speed, and you're able to hopefully get those Crushing Blow procs easier on the bosses that you're killing, right? And also Fortitude for the damage and defense. Alright, now let's talk about more of a budget build, because that's essentially what you're going to be doing when you first start out. Or that's one of the strengths behind this character. Like, you don't need the best gear to be able to do things. So let's talk about what kind of gear, or what your gear is going to look like by the time you finish Hell, right? So we're going to have this White Wand. It's probably going to look exactly like this, +8 to Bone Spear. Maybe some other staff mods like Corpse Explosion if you get lucky. But otherwise, it's going to look like this. And it's so good. If you haven't noticed, White has been a contender for best in slot throughout through the most expensive items, and that's because of just how good the rune word is for this build, right? It was almost made for this build. But yeah, Heart of the Oak is also incredibly strong and shouldn't be overlooked, but at the same time, it's important to consider that this White Wand is easier to get also. Be sure to watch my mini playthrough to figure out how to get it, or you could watch my video. I made a video about how to make this a couple months ago. And really quickly, all you need is a 2 open socket wand and Dole.io. You get those from Nightmare Countess. And also from Nightmare Countess, you get Lore from a 2 open socket helm. Ort Soul drops from Nightmare Countess, and it gives you +1 to skills and 30 light res, which is really cool because it's free, really. Like, Ort Soul is really easy to get. You get a +1 to skills and light res, which is just incredible. And on top of it, you get energy and mana per kill. And we are also running Stealth. Now, Stealth is just one of the best rune words early on in the game. You get it in normal Countess. It gives you faster cast rate, faster run walk, and faster hit recovery. It's just a beautiful item, and I like to use this for a very long time because before you get Enigma, getting around can be a little bit difficult, so I like to stack faster run walk on this character. And now let's talk a little bit about faster cast rate. Because this character can't really get 125 faster cast rate without all of that top tier gear, right? So you want to aim for 75 faster cast rate. And here's how you get it. You get 20 here, 25 here, and then 10 here, here, and here. And that'll all add up to 75 faster cast rate. And with the rest of the gear, you want to bandage these guys up, right? I don't have the best examples. I just threw these together for really an example purpose to kind of show you guys that you could get some really good items just from purchasing them. These items I've purchased from I don't think it was Charcy. I think it was from Farah. But ooh, there we go. We just found an upgrade. That's 3 more res. So for the rest of the gear, you should definitely identify any rare belts, gloves, or boots that you find, because there's a chance they can have multiple res and just be really nice, right? So I like to shop personally for this gear before I have any top tier gear here. And I like to shop from Farah because, bam, really good belts right there. I think I might actually buy that just for now. So just like that, we're getting upgrades. You can get some really good gear off of just shopping. And let's talk a little bit about the exact stats. So for gloves, you can get up to 25 res, I think. Belts, not exactly sure, but you can get stuff like this belt right here. 88 to life, 27 lightning res, 99 to life, and boots like this, 40 run walk and 21 fire res. This can actually go up all the way to 40 fire res. So we can actually get boots that give 40 fire res, or 40 any res, to be honest, and 40 run walk. Now those are some really nice boots, and you can find them through just a little bit of shopping, or maybe a lot of bit of shopping, but the point is it's really easy to get, right? And yeah, now let's talk about the shield slots. Now for the shield slot, you're going to be running either Ancient's Pledge or a Rhyme by the time you finish Hell. And you're going to run a Rhyme if you find a really cool Necro shield, because if you find a Necro shield with Bone Spear or maybe Corpse Explosion or any useful skill that you like, you should totally make a Rhyme out of it if it has 2 open sockets, because you get Magic Find, all res, great block rate with block chance, What did I did I miss anything? Yeah, I definitely missed something, but you just get a really good shield overall. And if you don't get one of these, just run an Ancient's Pledge. I don't think I have one on me, but I'll show you how it's made in the mini playthrough. And yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the gear that you want to aim for at this point. You want to aim for a spirit, right? You want to get a monarch so you can make a spirit out of it. Ignore the fact that this is not in a monarch. But you want to make a spirit so you can try to get some gloves with 20 faster cast rate. Because once you do that, look, we have 126 faster cast rate right here, which is absolutely insane for our damage. Yeah, it's you also, for gloves, be sure to keep your eyes out for mage fists. Those are 20 faster cast rate, and they give +1 to fire skills, and it upgrades your corpse explosion damage on top of that, which is really cool. So other than that, you also want to probably keep your eyes peeled for a skin of the Viper Magi. Now, Skin of the Viper Magi is really awesome because it gives you a plus to skill, it gives you that faster cast rate, and resistances, which you could potentially be lacking. These items could be better, and I could have better charms, but Skin of the Viper Magi can really help out with that. Also, with Skin of the Viper Magi, you lose out on faster run walk and hit recovery, which sucks, but you can kind of weigh out your options, right? And on Switch, I like to buy a teleport staff, which I also have a video for, and I'll link it. And let's also talk about what kind of gear you would want for your Act 1 mercenary. You probably get to choose. You'd probably want to choose either fire or cold. Cold could be nice, but it could ruin corpses for corpse explosion because if an enemy dies when it's frozen, it shatters and there's no corpse, right? So choose accordingly. Choose what you want. You're gonna run the insight bow, and then with the helmet and armor slot, I think you just want to prioritize survivability. So you're going to want resistances and health. Alright, now let's talk about our skills, because they can be quite a headache with this character. Because, like, for the end game, I would recommend maxing out all of the bone skill tree with putting some points in 1 point into Clay Golem, with Clay Golem Mastery and Summon Resist, and at least 1 point into Amplify Damage. And then you can dump the rest into Corpse Explosion, right? That's what I would recommend for end game, once you have all of the plus to skills to carry Corpse Explosion, right? I have a base of 5 here, but it's really getting carried by all the plus to skills. So what I would recommend doing for leveling up is, first of all, maxing Bone Spear, right? And then you want to max out Bone Prison and Bone Wall. And then I would probably recommend maxing out Bone Spirit, and then doing whatever you want with the rest of the build. And what I would do is invest 1 point into Clay Golem, Golem Mastery, Summon Resist, Amplify Damage, and then get at least 5 points into Corpse Explosion. But you can put a lot more if you wanted to, but just know you're sacrificing your damage. If you don't exactly know, I would recommend a solid 5 points here, and then corralling enemies or herding them like sheep, to jump on top of a dead corpse so you can corpse explode them. That's kind of what I like to do, but it's ultimately up to you. You could say fuck you and just and use your bone skills with summons on top of like every curse. But yeah, that's what I recommend doing. So the skill rotation behind this character is rather simple. All you do is just bone guys up until they're dead. And if they were in a line, they're probably all dead. Otherwise, they're in a group. You want to amplify damage and corpse explosion. Also, be sure to keep your Merc alive with Bone Wall and Bone Prison if you can. So, as I mentioned, we did a little bit of a mini playthrough to show a little bit of the process of how one would do a playthrough with this character. So, one of the first things to note is you want to do all the quests that give you skills and stats. You're probably going to want to get the Kill Bloodraven for the Act 1 Merc, so we can actually use Insight with the bow. And something to note is I got a ring with Magic Find and immediately put it on. Getting early Magic Find can be very helpful, and you'll see throughout this video. So another thing I like to do early is to get 2 open socket armor and 2 open socket helmet, just for stealth, and also I like to jam topazes in a helmet just for early Magic Find. That's not necessary though. Save Kane because I like to save Kane, and it's really good XP, as well as you get a magic ring. Now you want to pick up all the jewelry you find because you want to cover your items with faster cast rate jewelry, right? And now you're just going to want to kill Countess for some runes. And I killed Countess multiple times. All you really want is Tal F with maybe an extra F in case you get a good preserved head for Rhyme. But other than that, I like to do multiple Countess runs for experience and to make some gold. So we are able to purchase a really nice wand for the white rune word, right? So now we're going to just do Andy and continue on. And yeah, from this point, we're gonna also be doing some shopping. Look at these gloves that I got. These gloves are incredible. I love to find some gloves with Magic Find on them early on in the game. You can also get some boots with Magic Find on them from Act 2. And here's just a little bit of shopping and me finding a +3 to Bone Spear, Bone Wand, which is awesome. So then you level up to level 18 and you're able to use that wand, and then you're able to just completely ruin Maggot Lair. Most characters in this game struggle with Maggot Lair, but you are one of those unique characters that absolutely thrives in Maggot Lair, which is very fun. I love that. And that's of course because of Bone Spear, right? And now this is just killing Duriel. A lot of people like to cheese Duriel with Iron Maiden and spamming Iron Golem. So Duriel just kind of slaps your Golem and kills himself, right? I don't think that's completely necessary. Look at this Magic Find do its thing, by the way. That was crazy. All of the bosses do some good drops because all you need is a little bit of Magic Find, right? So for Act 3, you want to do the Jade Figurine, maybe the Tome quest, and just kind of get out of there ASAP, right? So Mephisto dead. You want to do the Izzy quest for the +2 skills, and the Hellforge, because Hellforge, you want to see if you get a really good rune, and if you get an IO rune, the better, because then you won't have to farm as much for Nightmare, right? And killing Diablo,
Getting some sick drops, some sick unique drops. Nothing too crazy though. You want to kill Shank so you can socket your wand, and make sure it's a bone wand before you socket it, and it's not a blue wand or a magic wand. And yeah, you're gonna want to buy or free the barbarians because of the 3 open socket shield that I forgot to mention. And yeah, you're gonna want to do Den of Evil and kill the Countess until you get Dull IO. And then this is kind of what your gear is going to look like for a while until you can like actually upgrade it. You just want to go and complete the game essentially. And you can also start farming in Nightmare if you want to, but I usually just go to Hell first.
So once you've completed Hell, essentially, let's talk about some of the content that you can do that'll get your character to get that better gear. So you want to do cows, hopefully get a spirit, and the runes are from Nightmare Countess. And then you want to do also potentially things like Pits, Andy, Mephisto, potentially Rivers of Flame or Chaos if you're feeling up for it, if you're feeling confident and strong enough. And some new areas because of patch 2.4 for new characters would be Stony Tomb and Arachnid Lair. Those look really good. And once you get stronger, you can essentially do all the content in this game. Just remember, there are some magic immunities out there, and those can be dealt with your Merc and Corpse Explosion.
Alright guys, that's going to be this video. Let me know if you have any questions. I'd love to answer some. And to my sweet, beautiful, loyal subscribers, I am so sorry. I kind of went missing the past couple of months. I will be uploading videos more regularly, but yeah, I'm sorry, you know, like, life happens, and I will still be around, so thank you for your patience. I love you. See you later.